Hey there, so today I have some stories to share with you from my school days. Now, I didn't like school that much, but there were some gems that I thought would be interesting to share with you guys. I have them written down, and yeah, I guess let's just jump right into it because this should be fun. So for my first story, it's a story about a principal who was very, very biased in the school. He was very biased towards the pretty girls and the ones who were just like more popular, I guess, so I remember I got yelled at a couple times for leaving my bowling ball in the office because I was in an after-school bowling league and I didn't have anywhere to put my bowling ball. I couldn't keep it in my locker because it was just too big to fit in my locker. This was middle school. So basically, my mom dropped it off one day and I wasn't able to get to it because we were having debates that day. Now, mind you, during these debates, we were supposed to dress nice, and I was wearing makeup. I felt like I looked good, and I don't know, I dressed really nice. So I was having a good day, and everything was all fine and dandy. Then I go in, and the lady in the office was like, we aren't your personal locker service. You really shouldn't leave that here. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I was annoyed, picked up my bowling ball, and went to leave, right? So then the principal comes out. He's the vice principal at the time. Now he's the full principal, which is kind of stupid considering he's really biased. And he goes in and basically is like, oh, no, we can keep it here. That's not a problem at all. There's no issue with that. It was just really bad. And for him to now be the main principal is really scary to me because he was very biased. And all the pretty girls, he would always give them more attention. He would always look at them in like a higher light. And I usually never dressed up, I just blended in, but this one day I happened to dress up nicely and he's like, oh, sweet as pie. He's like, oh, we can keep this here, it's not a problem. We can store it until the end of the day, whereas the office lady was yelling at me for keeping it there. So he gave me permission and I was like, okay. So I basically was like, no, and he took it and he put it under a chair and he was like, we can keep this here. So there's an interesting tidbit for you. Next thing that we have is before the other principal became the main principal, we had a principal who was a lot older and just, I don't know, he was nice, I guess, to some people, but he was just more of a crotchety older guy. So this one day, my friends and we sat at a table near the office. So like the office window, you could see our table. My friend and I were kidding around and I took my lunchbox and he made a joke and I lightly tapped his arm, but because of where his arm was, his arm ricocheted off of my lunchbox and hit the table. So he was like, and he had more of a reaction than he would have had I just tapped him with the lunchbox and it hadn't hit anything. So basically I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And he was like, oh, it's okay. It just happened to hit me in the right place. So I was like, okay. So we sit down and everything's fine. But then the principal comes out and he's like, can I talk to you guys? And he took us over outside of the lunchroom. He was like, you shouldn't have hit him with the lunchbox. That was mean and wrong and it really hurt him. And he was like really being mean to me whenever I hadn't hit him that hard. We were just kidding around and I apologized right after because I realized that it did hurt him more than I didn't want to hurt him at all. And he was just so mean to me. He was berating me. He made me cry. He made me apologize to him, which I had already done. So I was kind of like, okay, I'm sorry. And I cried, walked back into the lunchroom trying to act like nothing was wrong. But obviously somebody had caught on already because people were looking at us as we walked back into the lunchroom. So screw you, Mr. Formal Principal, for making me cry over something that I didn't mean to do. Like, we weren't roughhousing, and he even yelled at my friend because he was like, well, you were obviously roughhousing, and and it was just stupid. Everybody at the table got in trouble for it, and it was just the dumbest thing ever. We were just teasing around. All I did was gently hit him with my lunchbox, and it was just a whole thing, and he obviously forgave me. It wasn't supposed to make him in pain. So it was really annoying and really stupid that all of us got in trouble. Obviously I got in the most trouble, and because I was crying, I don't think he gave me detention. Otherwise I think he would have if I showed no remorse. But I started bawling when he started yelling at me for it. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. So that was very interesting. Okay, so the next story I have for you is really interesting as well because this didn't happen to me, but it happened when I was at Kalahari with my sister and her best friend and my family. So we go there and we're, at this point, me and everybody else is already back in our rooms, and my sister and her friend come in and they're laughing hysterically, literally to the point, and she was embarrassed because of what I'm about to tell you. So they were running down the hallway and everything, and they thought they came to our room. This is where it gets funny. They thought they were at our room. So they come up to the door, and she starts pounding on it, and she goes, "Open the door," and looking through the peephole. She said it exactly like that. "Open the door," and straight up, this guy opens the door, and he gives her such a confused look. It, like, to this day is one of the best things. Like, I can't honestly do it justice because the way that Brianna's friend tells the story is just gold. I love it. Amazing. So freaking hilarious. And it was just awesome. So that to me was really funny. That did happen while I was in school. It wasn't, like, obviously at school, but happened while I was in my school days. Alright, so the final story I have for you guys is a man who cried over nail polish. Okay, so basically, my sister, again, is the main person of the story. She used to date this guy whose dad would have a lot of parties, and his friends would come over, and so would his son's friends, and his son's friends would just go out and do everything, and that's who my sister was friends with. And she went over there one night, and it was a party as usual, and the adults were getting drunk. So this guy is drunk, right? This little girl comes up to him and is like, "Can I paint your nails?" And she was like really excited to do it, so he's like, "Oh sure, whatever, that's fine." And she paints his nails, and he's like, "Okay, I need to get this off now." So he goes to the bathroom, starts washing his hands, and he can't get it off, so he starts crying. Like, this drunk man is standing at the sink crying because he can't get bright yellow nail polish off of his fingers. And to this day, it is the funniest thing I've ever heard about, like, a drunk person. I'm sure there are a lot of funny drunk stories out there, but this is just the funniest thing that I've ever, like, known anybody to experience. Just because, like, just imagine a fully grown man sitting at a sink crying about nail polish. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed these stories. They weren't really anything too exciting, but maybe you enjoyed them anyways. I enjoyed telling you these stories. And yeah, if you liked this, leave a like and subscribe. I upload videos as often as I can. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you in my next video.